Zen in the car, for the spiritually minded liberty activist on the go. Liketh, shareth, subscribeth. After the interview I conducted with mayoral candidate Michael Bollentin of Hightstown, New Jersey, I have been asked for a little bit more information on the $42.0 million lawsuit being filed against the borough. And it is a story that we are going to continue following because I just think it's hilarious. But, you know, if you ever get the feeling that people in government aren't listening to you, it's probably because they're not. And this can come with a very hefty toll to city officials as well as taxpayers when a Citizens First Amendment redress of grievance is ignored. So for those of you who want to do your due diligence, I would advise you to come over here to njcourts.gov to search this particular case so you can see for yourself. You want to go over here to public, and then what you want to do, if the internet obeys, is click on Find a Case. And what you're going to do from this point is go search civil and foreclosure cases. Now, if you're a robot, it's impossible for you to check this button, so you can't go any further if you're that. So, when you get here for search for case, what we want to do, if your drop-down menu here doesn't say civil part already, make that so. And then we're going to do search by name. Last name is going to be a conspicuous Mr. Schlaws. First name, Neil. And then after you hit the magic search button, there you go. This is the docket number for the $42.0 million lawsuit being filed against several named people in Hightstown, New Jersey. So take a look for yourself. I will put the links that can get you as close to this as possible in all of the description boxes below. But please let this be a reminder that you get the government that you deserve. If this is something that you in the borough of Hightstown, New Jersey want to continue occurring due to elected officials simply not listening, then by all means, stay home, don't vote. But if this is unacceptable to you, as it should be, then please do your due diligence and have your voice heard this election day. So before we go too long here, I do want to get into the meat of this particular issue in the interview I just had with mayoral candidate Michael Bollentin. You can find his platform at michaelbollentin.com. But from my understanding and what kind of perked my ears up is, one, I do love Hightstown, and I'll be back up there in December, so have my key to the city or the borough ready. I'll give you the correct spell. But anyway, one of the issues is that some of my friends and associates up there have been asking for, and this is a First Amendment issue. And in my opinion, if an elected official screws up on the First Amendment and all that it entails, you could pretty much guarantee they don't have the rest of that. There is a resident or a businessman in Hightstown who's very well respected, very qualified in all the fields in which he serves, a CPA his job is literally to go through these sorts of things with a fine tooth comb or whatever the expression is. And he has been asking the borough for a redress of grievances for over 2 years now. And your phantom opponent has, how did she do on that redress of grievance? You want to tell our audience a little bit about that and expound upon that, because the cannabis issue down here is a huge one and we want to hear about it.
So beginning of October, I was introduced to the gentleman you're speaking of. I had a very brief conversation, and he just explained to me that he'd been trying for a year to simply just have a meeting because he wanted to bring a cannabis-based business. He wanted to bring a dispensary into the borough. He knew that I was a proponent for cannabis use for responsible recreational use for adults, because this might be heard elsewhere outside of Jersey. In 2020, the state had ballot question to approve recreational use for adults that was overwhelmingly approved. It took the state, way longer than they needed to finally pull their heads out of their collective asses and get a legislation out there. But it left each individual municipality the choice to vote upon whether to or not allow cannabis-based businesses in. And one of the rare cases where it wasn't a complete unanimous vote, the county voted, or the council in Hightstown voted 5-1 against allowing cannabis-based businesses in, which at the time I'm like, it's a stupid move. But they decided to let it be a public question for the borough residents to decide whether or not to do it. So last year, the ballot question passed with significant portion of the borough voting yes for it. And as soon as it was voted and legalized by the borough, so to speak, he started reaching out to the council saying, hey, I'm ready to go with this. I want to bring this business in. It could be a great revenue source, and let's just talk. He's spent a year trying to reach out to the borough with zero response. He's gotten 2 open requests that showed that the council has been at least engaging and entertaining the idea of bringing a cannabis-based business in. Or property in the borough that I don't know if they just want to bring it, if they specifically want to bring in a dispensary, or if they were just exploring options of what to do with the property. But they have proof that the council has engaged in that conversation with somebody. And they got a brief phone call from the borough attorney, which wasn't much of anything fruitful. And he got fed up with not hearing anything back, so he sent a complaint of redress, which requires a response. He never got the response.
How many, do you happen to know how many days for the response before they were in default?
I don't know what the legal requirement is for that. I believe he sent that, at least one of them was sent to them this month on the 11th. I think they have 7 days to respond, but I don't know for sure, so I don't want to.
So what we do know for a fact is that he is going through the proper protocol and procedures to have a redress of grievance. So go ahead. So
to kind of get that whole long-winded story back to the original, he reached out to me at the beginning of the month. Our council has 2 meetings a month, and he's like, hey, this is what's going on. I know you're running for council, for mayor. Do with the information what you want. Whether you want to bring it up and let them know that they can stop this just by talking to me. That's all I'm looking for. So I chimed in at the first council meeting, said, this is brought to my attention. I understand it's hearsay at the moment, but
you might want to pay attention.
It's a $42 million lawsuit that just talk to the guy.
Michael, let me correct you real quick. It's 42.0 million because that matters. Anyway, go ahead.
$42.0 million. 2 weeks went by. The second meeting was about to happen for the month, and I had received a copy of the draft of the complaint. I read through it. Hard to deny that he's got not just a leg to stand on, but he's got a couple legs to stand on. So I chimed into the meeting that night and I said, so we're past the hearsay point because I have the draft. And by the way, it names the borough council as a government entity. It names each individual council member, and it names a couple of members, a couple people that are employed by the borough. All you guys got to do is make a motion to adjust the agenda and discuss this and talk to him, and it stays a draft. And they heard it, and the following week he said, just so you know, it's filed. But, you do what you got to do. If it goes through, it goes through, and it is what it is. There's nothing I can do. I've already done my part by just trying to say, hey, talk to him. So yeah, that's where we're at. It's something that could have been easily mitigated by just simply having a conversation with somebody.
Zen in the car, for the spiritually minded liberty activist on the go. Liketh, shareth, subscribeth.